Welcome back to another episode of the Leadership Void podcast. I'm Enrique with my co-host Vince, and today we are excited to bring to you a veteran doing great things in Virginia. Vince will introduce.
Absolutely. Ladies and gentlemen, we are joined today with Gunny Wolf. He's the creator and founder of SemperToons from Rutherford Glen, Virginia. I want to first welcome you, Gunny Wolf, to the show. But first, let's talk a little bit about you.
Oh, well, thank you for having me. It's exciting. A little bit about myself. I'm from a small town in Ohio, Ashtabula. At around 19, I joined the Marine Corps and started my journey. But let's back up a little bit. And it's just a small story, but in 10th grade, I didn't really have any direction in my life. And a friend stepped up and said, I think you should go into the commercial art program at a vocational school. And of course, my response was, what's that? So I submitted my portfolio. I was accepted and ultimately went to the commercial art school and met my first leader, who was Mr. Smith. And throughout the school, we did a bunch of projects, but basically in the end, in my senior year, I did a cartoon of me being mischievous and not really paying attention and giving him hell for 2 years. But all that culminated into him giving me an A, saying that I think you really have something here going on with cartoons, and I think you should pursue it. So a little bit later on, just before graduation, I saw my first Marine in the cafeteria. I walked up and I said, what does it take to join the Marine Corps? And he said, do you think you're tough? And I said, of course I do. Next thing I know, I'm in the recruiter's office. And he says, what do you want to be? And I said, I want to be that guy on the wall. And he said, that's infantry. And I said, make me infantry. And he said, well, they're the first to fight. And I said, well, I guess I'll be the first to fight. So I went to boot camp Paris Island, and kind of the rest is history.
Well, I tell you, first to fight indeed, because I was on an amphib. I know who we deliver, and it wasn't the Navy; it was the Marines, right? So, good on you for that history. Thank you for sharing that. And it's funny that tunes. And I got in trouble in high school for drawing cartoons of all my teachers. That's what happens, when you're artistic and you got some dead time. But it's amazing how that story ended up, propelling you through to an A, out of all things, and
Yep.
into the recruiter's office. So tell us about SemperToons, because this is going to be exciting.
Yeah, so I mean, SemperToons was born basically on the mess decks of the ships. I was at the 13th MEU, 1st Battalion, 4th Marines. We went to Desert Shield, Desert Storm. So I'm all about well decks. I've swam in them. I've done all kinds of, bust and rust, everything. So out on deployments, you're just doing donuts. So I would go to the mess decks, and kind of a mechanism for me as I was growing up. I have a broken family and things like that, but drawing always got me through all the hard times. So we're doing donuts. I'm on the mess decks and I'm just drawing cartoons for myself. They had no subject matter or anything. And I started talking to one of my friends about, different situations in the Marine Corps. And it almost like just happened, like it clicked. And we were talking about how in training, no Marine dies, right? I can say I got you all day, but you are going to say I didn't. So I drew 2 Marines with 2 walls covered in blanks and training grenades. And all they're saying is, I got you. No, I got you. No, I got you first. No, I got you first. And I saw my friend just dying laughing. And what I realized in that pinnacle moment was all the stress from Desert Shield, Desert Storm. Like we did our 6-month deployment, went to the Philippines, and they told us to turn around and go back. So now the tensions went straight up and our families didn't know what was going on. So in all this chaos, this one cartoon started making everyone laugh, and it took some of the pressure off. But it wasn't called SemperToons then, it was just a cartoon. So fast forward, my next deployment, I'm still drawing cartoons, but I don't know what to do with them. I go to another friend says you should go to the ship's admin and see if they will post these on the door, and I'm like, you think they would? And he's like, well, you don't know unless you try. And so I said, okay. So I went up there and I talked to the chief, and the chief said, sure, just post one. So I started doing that, and it was exciting. I mean, now I was kind of published, but it was only on a door. So I mean, I don't know what that counts for, but it was awesome to me. So in the middle of the deployment, the second deployment, we had to get off the ships and lube up the vehicles and stuff like that. And came back to the ship, and the chief came down to my berthing, and she said, you got to get a cartoon up on that door right now because everybody's freaking out. Like, and I said, I ma'am. So it was a lot of power in it. But when the power really came was when the Marines started mailing them home to their families. So now there's a bridge that doesn't have an edge. Marines have a way to tell their families what we're doing, how it's going, everybody's okay. And by the way, you can kind of laugh at it, which I don't think has ever been done before. In a stylistic way where everybody's included in my SemperToons. That's why there's no ranks. There's no names. There's really, everybody can identify with them. So the next piece is I rotate to Quantico, and my wife and I realized that we might have something here. So we set up at we go to the Marine Corps Exchange, and we ask if the Marine Corps Exchange, we can set up a table and sell a calendar. Well, at the time, the Marine Corps Exchange said you can't because of protocols and all this other stuff. So we went to MWR, wrote a letter. I submitted samples, and because of our letter, we changed it across the entire DoD where enlisted Marines or their wives could be vendors to sell their products. So we went to the exchange and we started laying out the calendars. And I think it was just like within 15 minutes, my wife was blown away. She couldn't even keep up because the demand was like so fresh and new, and everybody had something different than, just the same old whatever you buy. So at the same time, I went to the editor of the Quantico Century, and I said, I have some cartoons here. I'd like to publish them based on another friend that told me, go see if they'll publish them. And the editor said, he said, basically, can you do one a week? And like every Marine, I said, yes, but I knew I couldn't. So at the time he said, what do you want the cartoon to be called? And it just came straight out, SemperToons. It just made so much sense. And ultimately after that, I realized that if I could do one base newspaper, I could do them all. So what that meant was back then there was no internet, and I didn't have any pigeons. So we had to knuckle down, and I would call every base in the Marine Corps, the public affairs officer, and I would just promote myself and tell them, would you like to publish cartoons? And if they agreed, we made a folder for them on our house. And each folder, eventually I had every base in my house in a folder with cartoons, and we would mail them like once or twice a week. So it's kind of like being syndicated, but I'm making a wheel out of a rock, and it was really tough and hard. One of the funniest stories is when I rotated to Camp Pendleton, during my lunchtimes, I would run to the phone booths, the old school phone booths, with pockets full of quarters, and I would just still be calling base newspapers or anybody that would listen. So that's kind of the foundation of SemperToons.
Listen, man, outstanding, the evolution. I love the fact that you are a true pioneer. You talk about since Desert Shield, Desert Storm, we talk about 89, 1990. So this has been evolved since way back before pre-internet, when you had a rotary phone, putting
Yeah.
quarters in the phone booth, Definitely, Gunny Wolf, thank you for being such a pioneer. And as you said, it's the bridge without the edge. I love that statement. And you
Yep.
created a morale booster for not only Marines, everyone in the family. So it cascaded throughout. So kudos to you and your wife for pounding the pavement, making that rock, a
The
smooth
wheel
little
out of the
groove.
rock.
So moving forward, knowing that the pandemic came through, did it impacted any way SemperToons at all?
Actually, it did. I was so the combat camera field and the public affairs field combined in the Marine Corps about 3 years ago, maybe 4 years ago. And when that happened, the platform changed. So now it's all about like views and just like getting out there and getting the information out there. Um, so at the time they were like, well, you know, you are you've been doing cartoons for almost 25 years and you're under our roof. So it'd be only logical that you might do one cartoon a week for the Marine Corps in the government, because I worked on Quantico. So we went, I'm all about it. I'll draw anything for anybody. So uh, went to base legal, went back and forth with different ways to maneuver the fact that SemperToons is an LLC, which is my company, but at the same time, I'm a government employee during the day. So producing a cartoon while I work for the government, it was decided that that's why it would be called Core Tunes. So SemperToons at night, Core Tunes when I go to work. So there's tunes everywhere. So it's like a dream come true, but you can't deny the power of morale. So basically that's where we're at. And during the pandemic, I was asked twice to step up at the Pentagon. I had to go up there for special assignments where I could use the humor to send out messages, just the same way I did during Desert Shield, Desert Storm. But it's really interesting. I've honed my skills so much that I can cover any subject without offending anyone, without, like pushing people away or just having an opinion. And I think it's all based on the fact that like it's a cartoon and it's for you. And I make sure that you as the individual understand that. So it's exciting.
Well, I love the history. You talk about 25, 30 years. Both Vince and I were in, right? So we know exactly what you're talking about. Um, and the evolution. You was talking about the journey through the ship, and I was like, well, yeah, just put it on the POW, right? Just get it on there, and I know exactly what you're talking about. But yeah, and all this time has brought you to where you are now. So what's on the horizon for SemperToons?
Well, one of my ultimate dreams that we've basically made come true is the mail call program. So there's over 33,000 Marines right now that go through boot camp every year. So my goal is to get a piece of mail to them 3 times a week, every week, with SemperToons, so that they have some morale and they got that laugh to take the edge off. Just because it's there, it never goes away, because of course you're trying to make this is a life-changing event. So boot camp, any type of boot camp, is just like any other, like, for me it was Desert Shield, Desert Storm. So the same theme keeps happening. So now SemperToons has the mail call program where you can go to sempertoons.com. In the upper left-hand corner, you can actually donate. And when you donate $17.75 a month, a family of a recruit, they get 10 free credits or 10 free postcards to send to their recruit in boot camp. And the cycle never stops. So the whole world can subscribe. And basically what we're doing is we're supporting those families, because if it wasn't for the families, that recruit wouldn't even be there. So the mail call program is up and running, and anyone can donate.
Well, you heard it first, folks. You know, that's a great way of looking at the horizon. I even challenge you to maybe look into the first responder community,
Yep.
you know, addition to the military. So there's definitely opportunities all around to have, you know, that positive bridge, you know, taking the edge off, as you say. So kudos to you and SemperToons. Look forward to the next 5-10 years what's going down the pike. So let's transition, Gunny, and talk a little bit about leadership. So yourself, other than cartoons, what do you
Yes.
do in your spare time to aid you to thrive in your professional life?
Well, creatively. So I'm a graphic artist by trade. So I'm an artist. So I'm always trying to find different things I can do or learn or to hone my skills. So of course I have LinkedIn Learning. I learn if I find a piece of software or using piece of software, I just crush it, just like anybody else would, like a PFT or, any goal you have in your life that's going to make you better, whether it's just, drinking 8 glasses of water a day, it doesn't matter what it is. So taught myself how to play guitar. So if I have to make a video, if I have to do a cartoon or animation or anything that involves multimedia, I can do my own soundtrack. So that also takes a lot of weight off the government because now it's not copywritten. I mean, that's my donation and my initiative to make sure that, the job gets done, but we're in full control. My son's 15, so he's also pushing my limits. I've dove into anime. I've dove into all kinds of new art, and now actually he's better than me, so it's inspiring too, right? So now I'm trying to keep up with my son. So yeah, I think it's all about just improving on yourself every day. You just have to look for it. I mean, I can look at a piece of tile at Lowe's and find like 5 faces in it. If I had a piece of paper, I could draw those faces and have new characters. So you just, I can't really explain it. I was born with it. And another piece of me is that I'm in my purpose. God gave me this purpose. And if you've never met someone in their purpose, you're looking at him.
That's wonderful. I'm thinking over here, Semper Dependent or Semper Fam or something
Right?
with your son, because that's wonderful. If there's anything that we would love to do is to give a piece of us to our children so that they can go ahead and go a little farther. And it looks like that's what you've done. Now, Gunny, I know that in your raising up as a leader, right, both in the Marine Corps and in your
Mhm.
job, you've learned some things from someone. And there's always this one thing that just, it just highlights in our mind and it stays with us and it becomes one of our pillars. So what did you learn as you was growing up as a leader that you would like to share with others today?
So when I was in the infantry, and I moved into the graphic arts field, it was like a culture shock because, I mean, every Marine's a devil dog, but when you're in the infantry, you're always high tempo in your training and you're doing all that. So when I rotated to Quantico, it was more of a, the training was still continuous, but it wasn't as, I don't know a good word for it, like intense, right? So Marines are Marines anywhere. So I thought it was interesting that when I showed up and I moved and I was OJTing at Quantico, every formation I had, I would drop like 20 F-bombs. I mean, I was just like I was just chewing everybody up and down. I made, and I mean, the eyeballs were bigger than you could imagine. And the craziest thing was I actually had a Marine that pulled me to the side and said, you got to calm down. And you need to treat everybody in the room like they're the only person in the room. And no matter how long it takes to listen to them, hear what they have to say, you can negotiate if there's something, if they have issues or whatever, you can negotiate all that. But ultimately what happens is if you're consistent across the board with just treating everyone with respect, you're actually cultivating new leaders that will do the same thing. So the chain of command becomes stronger. So I've never forgotten that moment. And after that day, I never dropped any more F-bombs and formations. But it worked out because now I have fans that are generals that were second lieutenants when they would show up to ask for artwork or come to the graphics, Quantico graphics section. You name it. I mean, PFCs that are sergeant majors. I mean, so that's what you're doing. By being respectful, you're planting that seed that will make other people respectful, and your network just explodes like a garden.
Folks, if you don't know anything else, definitely listen to your audience, listen to them, treat them with respect, and you're going to go the distance. So influencing them from a young lieutenant, Butterbar, all the way to a general. That's amazing, Gunny. Thank you for sharing that wonderful pearls of wisdom and advice for our audience. Now, listen to a different pillar here. Now, when we band or stretch fit thin as far as our challenges, how do you handle challenges either you're currently facing or have faced in the past?
Well, I'll be honest with you. I'm a big advocate for PTSD because I have it. And, I'm not afraid to put it out there. I'll be a spokesperson for it, and it's not easy to deal with. So the first thing I do is just like I did when I was little and my family broke apart, I dove into my artwork. So that's one thing I do. The other thing I do is I ask for help. I have, we have buddy checks, we have friends. There's nothing wrong with that. And that's how if I get too deep, then you got to go higher. There's different levels of dealing with everyday stress. So if it's not too bad, it's okay. I draw artwork. But if it gets overwhelming, I might text somebody. So that's essentially how I think you should that's also respectful, because we talk a big talk about taking care of each other and simplify, and we're here for each other. So I advocate that to text me or call me, but I also test the system because I reach out to those that are saying that they're there for me. So I mean, it's just, for me, it's amazing. But I just wish more people did it. Like, I'll answer, it doesn't matter. I'll stay up all night answering texts or sending cartoons. I don't care. Yep.
Well, I tell you that challenges often, and those offers do come, right? Hey, you can reach out to me. Hey, you can call me anytime, and when you test it out, I'm glad you're testing it out. But most people don't, and so that's very key during challenges. Reach out, know your limits, know where you can and you can't, and reach out, especially if somebody has offered. So very wise to offer that as a way of dealing with it. And you have your own way, right?
That's
You
right.
get
We
into
all
the
do.
yeah, you get into the art and you get into what makes you comfortable and kind of calm down. And if it's too much, hey, you know how to reach out, and that's wonderful. Now, challenges come; they cause some times of change for us. How do you deal with times of change?
I embrace change because that's the only way you can grow. No matter what kind of change it is, like it's either going to change your mind, or it's going to change your body, or it's going to change the people around you. Because I know my son's looking at me. So your friends are looking at you, your family's looking at you. So again, it depends on the situation. But if you push back, there has to be a good reason. And when you're done pushing back, you have to explain why. And if it's not good enough, the people are going to see right through you. So, it's a slippery slope, but it's negotiable. And I would say this about, reaching out and taking care of situations. If you do, it's a win-win. But if you don't, you're always going to lose. And, that's just from being through everything I've been through and using the foundation of morale. Morale is the key. if you push back on something, and like I teach my son, like, this is why I did this. In a slight way, it's going to boost his morale because that boosts his confidence. And that's what we're all observant of that. That's how we're observant of that. It's just the way humans are made. So I'm honing in on that, and I will wield my morale sword every time I can, whether it's negative or positive.
I love it. I definitely see a different cartoon evolving out of this whole conversation, but
Yep.
it's incredible, you know, because yes, it does have ripple effects how we embrace change or we don't embrace change, as you said, physically or mentally. So thank you for sharing so much great nuggets and kudos on everything you're doing with SemperToons. How do folks on our audience either reach you, Gunny, or SemperToons?
SemperToons.com, just newly built, rebuilt website. You know, go there, click around. The gallery has like 250 cartoons in there. Right click, print them out, mail them to your family and friends. You know, you can contact me at, I usually use like SemperToon at AOL.com, but I have Gunny at SemperToons.com. That's my official email address. But if you email me, I mean, just please, you can reach out and I'll do everything I can to help anybody that does.
Well, that's wonderful. And we're going to make sure to have that as part of the show notes and the video so people can get a hold of you, Gunny. It has been a pleasure to talk about your transition through cartooning, through the service, how it has evolved, how it took a hold. You know, people just gravitated to it, and I understand being out there at sea with a bunch of Marines and the mess decks, and obviously it definitely I can see how it really helped morale during those deployments. There's some were extended and re-extended,
Yep.
So
Yeah.
I definitely understand that. Folks, if you want to get a hold of us, the leadershipvoid@gmail.com is where you'll send that information. If you want us to talk about a specific leadership topic, or you want us to host another great guest that you think will be a great fit for us, please send it there and we'll curate that and make sure to try our best to accommodate. But today it is Gunny Semper Fi, SemperToons. Look at
The
that.
Leadership Void
Look,
podcast.
I'm gonna send you guys a package for supporting me, and it's gonna have original SemperToons in it and a certificate to the podcast for just supporting SemperToons. I mean, everybody deserves to be recognized for effort, and this was awesome.
Oh, thank you, Gunny. I appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. And a couple other things I want to share, folks. Gunny spoke a lot about, reaching out, being there for folks.
Yep.
So we actually do on the 1st and the 15th a radio check. We do on LinkedIn Live at 1900 hours or 7 p.m. Eastern Standard. The 1st and the 15th of every month, we go live. We there to curate your questions, find some resources if need be. So again, just asking, as Gunny says, just putting your foot forward, and hey, we're at that level, 1st and the 15th. We never miss a beat. So Radio Check is there for you. Another couple things we do have, some great giveaways. So all you have to do is reach out to us on our YouTube channel, hit subscribe on the Leadership Void. And guess what? You enter in drawing to win a great book from Scott McGregor, Standing O, the Salute Edition. It is autographed. The drawing goes and it finishes when we reach 200. We're almost there, so don't waste that opportunity, folks. And speaking of another great opportunity, we had a great guest, Alice Rodriguez, not the baseball player, but definitely a gentleman who's been in the business of doing suits for 40 plus years.
Yep.
He's given away a male suit and a female suit for any of our listeners that listened to that podcast last month and answer the questions and send it to us. So all you got to do, and you enter the drawing, and we'll talk about that very soon when the winner is coming up. So don't waste your time on that. Two other things. We have our sponsor, which is the home team of Round Point Mortgage Service Corporation, with us. Thank you for everything they're doing. And thank you for supporting us and being our sponsor. And we continue forward next week with another dynamic guest. But today we're with Gunny Wolf. And I think he should do a documentary about his journey and how it affected the military and the morale. I think that would be a great opportunity there.
Yeah,
but today,
man,
Let's
Go
do
ahead.
it. But Gunny Wolf, we're here today to say thank you, congratulations, and keep going forward, brother.
Hey, it's an honor. We just propelled forward. I don't know how far, but the point is we went forward. So let's keep going.
Outstanding. Hoorah!
Right.
Hoorah!